There's a lot of hype around blockchain, and especially Bitcoin. But what if something fundamental breaks? It's not the price, it's the math. That's what we're going to discuss today in Thread Talks The Deep Dive. Let's get on to it.
Welcome to Thread Talks. Let's delve deep into the dynamic world of cybersecurity.
With me today is Jeroen Scheerder. He is the head of our post-quantum computing research department. So he knows all about post-quantum computing. And we're going to discuss what will happen if the post-quantum or Q-Day is here. What will happen with blockchain and especially Bitcoin. So welcome, Jeroen.
Thanks for having me.
So my name is Maas. I'm field CTO at Ontoit. And we dive deep today in post-quantum computing and the effects on blockchain. So before we dive deep, Jeroen, can we go back to the basics of blockchain, what it is, what it does, and how it works?
We can do some of it in the limited amount of time we have available.
Mm-hmm.
So, blockchain in general is a distributed way of validating transactions. So, a bunch of transactions get bundled together. That's called a block.
Mm-hmm.
And then some mathematical things happen, which establishes the integrity and the let's just keep it to the integrity of the block in such a way that the integrity is also witnessed by a precursor, effectively forming a chain. So a block witnesses another block when that new block appears by way of something called a consensus mechanism. A lot of participants need to agree on the transition, and then this transaction gets accepted and signed.
Now, the whole idea of that signing is that it is immutable, right?
Yes. So once witnessed, you can just go back through the chain up to the original starting block 0, block 1, the Genesis block.
And okay, so the Genesis block is the starting point. Can I compare that a bit with if you have a public key infrastructure where you always start with certificate authority, which is the root certificate, often self-signed. Is that comparable with?
Comparable, not the same. The chain is a bit shorter in the sense that in everyday SSL and TLS, you use certificates issued directly or indirectly from a certificate authority, and you have a bunch of certificate authority keys distributed in your operating system. So you have a bunch of Genesis keys, as it were.
Okay. So, and you already mentioned these blocks will be signed. Are they using the same cryptographic ciphers as, for example, in the public key infrastructure for certificates, or is it different?
In broad terms, yes. Different blockchain mechanisms differ a bit, but they all build upon the body of work available when they were published. So blockchain uses the cryptographic toolbox available in the 2000s.
Yeah, when it was developed
and it's been updated somewhat and so on. Started with a simple code base. It's been re-implemented and there have been a lot of forks and so on.
Okay. So then I assume then the same vulnerabilities exist that post-quantum brings to a public key infrastructure and the ciphers being used there in most cases that we discussed a few weeks ago in the post-quantum computing and what it means to encryption. There we discussed also two mechanisms or algorithms that could, fasten up the breaking of the cipher. That was Shor's algorithm and Grover's algorithm. For the people who missed it, can you briefly come back to those two algorithms and why they cause a threat to the blockchain signing?
Yes. Shor's algorithm is a deep improvement upon for the prime factorization problem, which is suspected to be exponential in nature. but the Shor's algorithm takes that back into the realm of the polynomial solution. And for all those that do not understand the mathematical jumbo that I just uttered, polynomial means feasible.
Okay.
Or tractable. It's polynomial is the border between tractable and intractable problems. So exponential is intractable. Grover's algorithm is a generic way to significantly speed up the generic search problem. If you have how to visualize this, if you have a bunch of choices you can make, every choice you make to go left or right on a map, for example, doubles your search space.
Yep.
So take 10 turns, and then you have 2 to the power of 10 destinations, right?
Yep.
Now finding something takes 2 to the power of 10, which is an exponential, and Grover's diminishes this thing. For example, if you had one coin at the end of a 10 decisions path, 10 decision left-right path, then you would find it in worst case 2 to the power of 10, because you have to walk all paths.
Yep.
Grover's would halve that, not halve that. It would go to 2 to the power of 5, which is not halving it. It's way better.
Yeah.
But it's still exponential.
And still, both mechanisms are still a way of brute forcing, but then, well, less slow.
Yes.
Than with traditional computing.
Grover's is much better brute forcing, but given a long enough path, it's still very hard.
Okay.
But of course, a part of our classical crypto that sort of started in the public area anyway in the 60s or 70s, and before that, of course, it's all classified stuff, was not built with current compute facilities in mind. So something that was deemed not feasible in the 70s, some of these things have come within reach. Especially if you consider something like Grover's, which further diminishes the complexity of exponential generic search problems.
Mm-hmm.
So in the realm of classic crypto, some things have come under threat of post-quantum. Shor's algorithm threatens RSA for lower key sizes, lower being something below 1500. And Shor's algorithm threatens, for example, the SHA family with lower key sizes.
Okay, so when post-quantum is here, it will also threat Bitcoin because it was invented in the early 2000s using these kinds of ciphers. So I assume RSA, SHA. What would be the impact on, let's start with Bitcoin, if these algorithms are available?
So Satoshi Nakamoto published the Genesis block, I believe, in 2009 or 2008, not sure, somewhere along the timeline. And the Genesis block was hashed with SHA-256, which is considerably weakened.
Now already, or when post-quantum computing?
Weakened, but not lost, in the sense that the brute force attack against it would mean traversal of 2 to the power of 256 states. It now takes a traversal of merely 2 to the power of 128 states.
Okay.
Which is still too hard. May take a few centuries maybe, but it will compute before the end of the universe, which is all that's an improvement, of course. Still not very tractable. That being said, there's no hard proof that this is the lower bound, and things always improve.
Is also the number of qubits, would that improve the speed, or is it different algorithms that may come out when quantum is available?
To execute such an algorithm, you need a minimum number of qubits to contain state configurations, multi-value state configurations in quantum computers, which is linear to the number of nodes, the number of bits of the key. Right now, the largest available quantum computers are in the order of 1,000 qubits, stable qubits. And there has not really been significant public progress in that area for the last 2 years. So these computers date from 2023. There have been marginal improvements claimed in the realm of error correction, which have been interesting attempts, but in the end disproved, although the publications were interesting. So we're not seeing signs of fast progress there. There have been claims that there will be breakthroughs. We'll have to see. At this point,
the stability is the problem, the stability of the qubits. But in the recording on post-quantum computing, we also said that there will be a Q day, the day that quantum is stable and available and can reach up to sizes that we can less slowly break these ciphers. So on Q day, that will arrive, we said, I believe, between 5 and 15 years at least. That's the general consensus.
Yes, there has been this inquiry among experts in the field, and that middled out between 5 and 15. But it's at this point, of course, it's even among experts is still just conjecture.
Okay, and would assume this Q day is here in 10 years. What can I then do to make use of it, maybe not in a legitimate way, to get to Bitcoins, or how can I affect the Bitcoin chain?
So what's affected? Today, we're still using cryptography that is within the reach of post-quantum attacks.
So that's using mainly RSA and SHA.
With lower key sizes.
With lower key sizes, yeah.
And we may yet see improved collision attacks, for example, which lower the complexity even more. And so if we take that into consideration, then maybe the 2048 variants are also conceivably within reach. Not really within reach, but with an improvement in the cryptographic attacks.
Like you said before, it's not fast, but less slow.
Less slow, and less slow always means that a small improvement can make the difference. So we're seeing a lot of cryptography being used, for example, in AES-256, SHA-128 crypto and hashing functions, and they're breakable using this conceived quantum computer with a number of thousand qubits.
Okay.
Let's say 10 or 100,000.
Mm-hmm. So one of the attacks I imagine that could happen is if you own, let's focus on Bitcoin here, a Bitcoin wallet, then you have a private key yourself to prove that wallet is yours. If that private key is based upon SHA or RSA with lower key lengths,
if someone can extract or compute or break that key, then he owns that key. And then he owns the wallet.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So, and if you own the wallet, you're free to do with the things in it as you see please. Similar, the blockchain itself, the blocks are signed using cryptographic hash functions. And if these are broken, someone can just insert a fake block or pose as that block. And do as he pleases to sign a different chain or to do whatever.
If that happens, then that means that you sort of infected the chain and people start building up on your falsified block. Is that correct?
Probably yes. Now, blockchain is meant to be decentralized, but I think in practice there are just a few big traders or what do you call it, exchanges out there that sort of monopolize the space. So this will no doubt get noticed and there will be some response. Either way, I think the least we can expect is some chaos there, and it may not be recoverable. If the attack is wide enough, it's not just breaking one block by coincidence, but a fundamental attack against a large part. And and for example, the Genesis block.
Okay, I was just about to say that's the first one,
which is of course is the basis of everything in Bitcoin. Let's assume that it gets compromised. Then what?
The whole trust is away from the
exactly.
chain.
That could mean that the entire trust is revoked for the entire chain. So no validations will work anymore. Blockchain is suddenly worthless.
Yeah, and that can have a big impact.
Even more worthless than it is.
Well, it still is valued on whether it's valid or not. It's valued in millions or even billions.
Yes,
so if that is gone in a second.
Yes, so that immediately would erode all trust. I would say.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, humans being humans, no way to predict how people are going to react. They have a sort of resilience against change.
Mm-hmm.
So the fact that the bottom just fell out is something that some people will want to deny. But even the deniers will be faced with a harsh reality if Bitcoin is compromised at that level. Now, Satoshi Nakamoto, the so-called
the founder,
inventor, the fictive founder of Bitcoin, speculated on this, and he said, if SHA-256 were completely broken, I think we could come to some agreement on what the legitimate blockchain was before the problem started. Fix it, and then continue from there with a new hash function. Now that of course sounds wonderful. And I think he said it when he just wrote his code, and there were a handful of other people in the world using his C library for Bitcoin. And there was a sort of coordination going, and if he pushed a change, then the other would pick it up. But that's not today's situation anymore.
So his suggestion is basically we stop the time. We look at what the chain is now. That is the truth.
Stop the time. We erase all existing software and replace it by something new, creating a magic fix, which sort of has inbuilt knowledge of a particular hash, a newly signed generated hash for the Genesis block, accepts that and then carries on.
Yeah, and that's of course then a post-quantum computing cipher. Or
let's hope so. Yes.
But it still means we stop the time. We said this is the truth for now, and then everyone that's doing something with Bitcoin,
by a magic snap of the fingers, all software in the world changes in harmony at that point.
Yeah, which of course
on we go.
Yeah, which is nearly impossible if you have a distributed system where everyone can write or have his own software,
has their own responsibilities, has different agendas, maybe even different goals.
Other ways that if you have the majority of the Bitcoin users going in a new direction, that the other ones will fall out or cannot use it anymore, or is it then just will it be split up, or how will it work? Because I can imagine that not everyone will agree on stopping it, going to a new mechanism. It will cause a lot of chaos, I would say.
Once you go there, it's just chaos.
Okay.
and again, if the compromise of the Genesis block would not have eroded trust already, then that sort of chaos, of course, would make the system collapse.
Okay, that's not a nice way to look forward. But is this so? We're now talking about mainly Bitcoin. Does this count for all blockchains?
Bitcoin has many problems, and this is just one of them. It's slightly older, and it's a fairly stupid coin. I mean, I believe if you look at the measurement of resources, then it takes an immense amount of energy to run.
Mm-hmm.
really, really immense.
Yeah, I believe that's you had these farms that would compute and do the signing. They used to have a lot of them in, I believe, in China, and they said you cannot do that anymore. We forbid it.
Yes,
because of all the energy consumption.
Yeah, similar. I have figures from Texas, but also blockchain in 2024 consumed more energy than the state of Denmark.
Bitcoin in this case.
Sorry, Bitcoin. Just doing Bitcoin took more energy than the entire country of Denmark used in 2024, roughly, for a whopping amount of 3.5 transactions per second.
Yeah, it's not comparable with a global banking system.
Well, I think if you would hire an intern that came up with such a design for a high school paper, it would not be a passing grade. To spend that much on so little.
Yeah, maybe we were.
So, but that's just so. I believe blockchain is set to collapse anyway.
Blockchain or Bitcoin?
Sorry,
okay. Yes,
Bitcoin.
Sorry, just to make it clear.
No, you're very right. So if you go in more modern things,
let's
focus on the serious one, because within blockchain, of course, a lot of it's just plain fraud. So crypto pump and dump schemes and Ponzi schemes and just frauds and so forth.
We had this hype when it came out.
Yes, and that's all still there, right? So Dogecoin, but let's something more. Let's consider Ethereum. Ethereum is a bit more modern, and it's built with more modern cryptography, and they have had a more interesting track record, in the sense that they noticed, for example, also their environmental impact, which is why I noted this about Bitcoin. They noted that the proof of work approach to validating transactions did not work in a sustainable way. It consumed too much resources. So they actually managed to change a fundamental aspect in the way Ethereum worked by changing it to a proof of stake mechanism. The fact that they were able to make that modification to a plane in flight.
Yeah, because the same principles apply here. Everyone needs to.
Exactly. So there needs to be a synchronized way to go from state A to state B, and there can be no disruption, no chaos, and it must ensure continuity. So they managed to do that. They also have a good vision of the cryptography agility needs. So they're busy in doing rehashing, resigning, and designing new algorithmic schemes. And I believe they have it's not a lost case.
Yeah, and they I believe they also saw that they wrote a blog post about, hey, this post-quantum computing is coming.
Yes.
It's not here yet, but we need to already think about what we can do about it.
And they have an agile mindset about it. They know cryptography is not a fixed thing. Anything you use now can work against you in the future, so you might need to swap parts in flight.
Okay.
And they seem to at least take up the challenge.
Okay, so so to let's say fix the upcoming problems. Well, not within a year, but when Q-Day is here, you said the plan of Satoshi is hard, almost impossible. Also, going in other directions, other ciphers will be hard. Like you explained with Ethereum, I can imagine that it is for Bitcoin much harder. What can we do then? If I was a Bitcoin user, what could I do? Is there something I could do?
I would think, but that's an investment question. If you were a Bitcoin user, I would suggest that you reassess the validity of that choice. In the end, I do not believe Bitcoin is sustainable for a number of reasons, and the cryptographic inflexibility being one of them.
So one mitigation could be that I switch from Bitcoin to Ethereum because they have a more open mindset, or at least they show that they are looking, hey, this is coming, we should plan for change.
And if you're into crypto, you probably have divested your assets and multiple coins, and you can exchange them on one or other exchange. And it says probably, I'm not an investor, but as investors always say, divest your interests. and you can try to make profits from high risk, volatile investments, but you should also steer clear of them to a certain extent.
Yeah, but except from leaving Bitcoin behind, are there any other things I can do as a person to influence the direction or make myself more safe? I can imagine, for example, I'm not sure how this works with Bitcoin, but that I can sign my own wallet with a higher number. So
yes, of course. This is marginal in the foresight of the collapse of the entire Bitcoin system, but you should, of course, protect your own wallet. This is anecdotal, but when Bitcoin started, I worked at a research facility where we also, by the way, successfully conducted the hash attack against the SHA algorithm in 2017. But Bitcoin came out, and there was this hot new thing. We had supercomputers and facilities, so we also did SETI at home and sorts. And there was this thing, and someone proposed a distributed way to decentralize currency. And we started a few miners. So at some point, I think I had harvested 10 or 20 Bitcoins, and then I got fed up with it and destroyed the laptop. So
it would be rich otherwise now. At this moment, at least.
There are many ways in which I could have been rich, and I am not. But, I mean, I sort of lost interest there because I thought, even in that first few months, we saw the diminishing return. So the mining part got excessively hard, and the transactions, they were taxing. So even then, that's why I actually stopped doing it. I thought this will not hold.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, still we are having a lot of people believe in Bitcoin at this moment, and now we are faced with the risk of the post-quantum era.
People believe many things.
Okay, might be a good moment to end the show here then. So we have something to talk about in other episodes. But yeah, what we just discussed, so post-quantum is coming. We call that Q-Day. It will have it could have a significant impact on blockchain, and especially what we learned today on Bitcoin, because it uses ciphers with lower bit sizes, at least in the beginning. Probably still is today, because you cannot, as I just learned, differ too much from the chain itself. So what we can do then is not much. That's also what I at least learned. But I can go to a different coin, for example.
May I suggest a salvaging operation? We know that something bad just might happen in the near future. We can prepare for it.
Yeah, but as long as Bitcoin holds value, people probably will not do that.
Yes, as long as the boat's not underwater, people will be sunning on the deck. But if you know it's leaking, you better prepare.
Yeah, I think that's really good advice. I think also something to take in mind here, that if we really go for change, that the whole community should agree upon it, which might be really hard for some coins, especially Bitcoin, if you are that widespread, I would say, and also have different code bases. So that might be really hard. So I think you have a lot of things to think about after this episode. So with that, I would say thanks for listening. If you like what you saw and learned, hopefully like me, a lot, then please like and subscribe so you get the next episode automatically in your inbox. And with that, thank you, Jeroen.
Thank you, Rob.
We'll see you next time.
Thank you for listening to Threat Talks, a podcast by Onto It Cybersecurity and AMS-IX. Did you like what you heard? Do you want to learn more? Follow Threat Talks to stay up to date on the topic of cybersecurity.